This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to the program. I'm Roby Brock. We are glad to have you with us. I am joined by John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Good to see you.
Good to be seen.
I'm fist bumping you because of the Delta variant there.
Right.
Although I could probably still catch it from knuckle to knuckle
Probably
contact.
could. I think the way things are going, we'll be back Zooming pretty soon.
We could be.
I hope not, though.
I hope not, too. So, because, I mean, you're an okay Zoomer, but you're a lot better live and in person.
You know, that's the kindest thing you've ever said to me. Better in person.
All right, let's talk about this Delta variant.
Let's do.
We've seen an explosion of cases in Arkansas. We have seen Arkansas become the literal epicenter of the United States for these new COVID cases here. Yet our MO is to do the same thing we've been doing. The governor's going to have some community conversations now, but the message has not changed. Be responsible, or else we're going to have an outbreak.
Yeah. I went over to his first community conversation in Cabot, and it was dominated by responsible people from the community, 2 nurse practitioners, a physician's assistant, a school principal, a school nurse, explaining the frustrations and concerns. Same kind of thing some left-winger like me would say if I got up and at the town. And the only thing that possibly came of it was the governor's office was saying that's a good idea when the physician people, the nurse people said, we get so many myths from patients when we talk about the need for a vaccine. And we could go online and we could sit down and take time to find it. But if we had ready piles of printed information that attack these myths, and if we get that in all the doctor's offices and all the clinics, maybe that would help. But otherwise, Hutchinson's position is it's got to be about personal responsibility. Maybe you all will begin to see that we need to get vaccines because the cases are spiking. But I couldn't do a mask mandate if I wanted to because the legislature passed a ban on that and I signed it. So
incentives are not working,
right.
so we've tried those. Yeah.
And what are the right incentives? I mean, Sidney Moncrief was a great basketball player, an Arkansas legend, but he's been gone from great public view for quite some time. You know,
right?
I mean,
well, they offered lottery tickets and fishing and hunting licenses.
But they're not helping.
Right.
They're not helping. Somebody suggested AR-15 ammo as a possibility, but I would not be for that. That's going too far.
Well, you may have to try just anything to see what sticks.
It's a very, very difficult situation. You have Cam Patterson, the UAMS chancellor, with a thread on Twitter saying, I'm going to still wear a mask, though I'm fully vaccinated, and my risk is low. And then explaining in a series of tweets why he's doing so, out of concern for others, and all these unvaccinated people walking around with a spike. You could harbor the virus asymptomatically and impart it to others, and going to have his family do that and encouraging other people to do that. And then you had former House Speaker David Carter answering that tweet by saying this violates the CDC position, and it's also a disincentive. You're telling people who don't want to get a vaccine already, go get a vaccine, but you're still going to wear a mask. You're sort of saying it works, but just in case, which he called disincentive. George Stephanopoulos asked Asa Hutchinson the same thing yesterday on This Week, and the governor sort of took Carter's view, or did take Carter's view. He said it was a total disincentive. So it's very, very difficult in a state that is just cussedly independent and right-wing, and they're not going to be herded, and they're not going to have the government tell them to go do this. Our only hope is that that suspicion and resistance lessens under, I'm afraid, overwhelming data. That it seems to me that's where we are, and we're partly, but the governor partly is choosing not to do a lot, but he's also hamstrung in some respect. As I said in the column yesterday, the only thing I really fault him for is just this lack of urgency. He seems to just sort of analyze his way through it and repeat the same thing. Go get a vaccine. It's our only way. I don't know how he achieves that urgency, but somebody needs to.
Will you wear a mask again?
Yes, I am.
Are you wearing one?
Yeah, when going to the store, going into the restaurant Saturday night. But the thing about the restaurant is you take it off quite soon so you can commence enjoying yourself.
Well, and you have to eat and drink, too.
Right, that's right. Yeah. And so Yeah, I think that's. I've been encouraged by a lot of people to just wear a mask permanently because. So I may
I think
do
it's
that.
a full head mask, though, is what they're
They may
referring to,
be.
not just over your mouth right
Yeah,
there.
they may be.
All right, let's talk about a big development on Monday morning. Jake Bequette, the former Razorback football star, announces he's going to challenge John Bozeman for the U.S. Senate. He becomes, I think, the fourth challenger to Bozeman in a Republican primary. There's 3 Democrats running also. There's going to be a pop quiz at the end of this to see if you can name all of them. So
I can't, and I refuse to learn them.
Okay. Anyhow, all that to say, does Jake Bequette have a chance to knock out John Bozeman in a Republican primary?
Well, I have thought people had a chance to beat John Bozeman in Republican primaries before, and I've been proven wrong, and he is widely beloved among a lot of Republican people. However, there's a lot to unpack in this Bequette thing. It's loaded with, that bag is stuffed with contemporary Arkansas conservative political information. Do you know where he announced? Was he here on Talk Business? Did he issue a news release?
No, I think he was.
He was on Fox, wasn't he?
He was on Fox, yeah.
He doesn't bother with the Arkansas media. He does it on Fox, the right-wing media. He does it with a video. This is a whole new level of nationalization of our politics. I know I don't matter, but I thought you might still matter. So there's that. He is a Southern SEC standout with a video talking about his football exploits, talking about sacking Tim Tebow. I suggest in a tweet that Bozeman was a former Razorback too back in the 60s, but there's not a lot of fresh video of him doing any harm to anybody. Maybe he needs to run across the Senate floor and take down Tommy Tuberville. That may be what he needs to do. But it's got the Razorback thing, like the Tuberville notion, this whole Southern Republican Trump athletic culture. And he's 6'5", he's a war veteran, he's young. He's got it all. He's like Tom Cotton with personality. He's like Sarah Huckabee with testosterone. You know, that's where he's coming from.
He's running to the right of John Bozeman.
He's
far
running,
right of John Bozeman.
There's not any real room to the right of John Bozeman.
Well, I think that there are a couple of votes out there that could be exploited.
I don't know what they are. I didn't see them.
He embraced the election results on January 6th.
Well, yeah, you can become an insurrectionist and get to the right of John Bozeman. Okay, I stand corrected. I sort of drew the line at opposing the United States.
Telling you where I think this debate is going to go in this Republican primary. It's going to be about things like that.
But Bequette represents just this whole new thing. A total concession, not concession, a total embrace of the full nationalization. Southern sports football celebrity, we got that going on. He actually says in his video, too many Republicans aren't sufficiently allegiant to Trump, meaning, I guess he would be, meaning, back to your point. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to say he can beat John Bozeman, but I'm saying that this whole study is fascinating. It's a Republican candidate model. He also, some months ago, announced a charity to help Arkansas businesses.
Similar to what Sarah Sanders
Sarah
did.
Sanders,
Mm-hmm.
Before she announced, she did that kind of thing. And we don't get a lot of information on where the money's coming from. It may just be another way for political contributors to build a favorite candidate's image. But he's doing that too. It's just all wrapped up in this whole new kind of politics. And it's a politics in which suddenly John Bozeman is seen as somehow deficient in his conservative bona fides. Yeah. So it's wild.
I think this is something interesting to watch here too is, will we see John Bozeman put some advertising money out there to try to boost some of his numbers? If we see something in the next, maybe this fall, for instance, I think that may speak some volumes about him seeing some poll numbers that he's...
Your poll shows what we all know of John Bozeman is that people don't know him that well, even though he's been a veteran in politics.
20 years, yeah.
And I think a guy like Bequette or whoever's encouraging Bequette, they're looking at that and going, hey, with the right kind of money and the right kind of message, you can put him on the defensive. He's not well defined himself. I thought that when he took on 7 or 8 guys in the Republican primary.
In 2010, yeah.
And he beat them all without a
Without
runoff.
a runoff, yeah.
I think he was closer to 60 than 50. So there's something about him that is just beloved and popular, or at least was 12 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Are the changes I'm citing in this new generation of all Trump conservatives aren't conservative enough thing, that we're going to get to see about that.
We will. We'll find out in the primary in 2022. The other thing that I think too is interesting about this, and this is history repeating itself. We've seen incumbents hang on too long, or almost hang on too long. You got Bumpers Fulbright 74, where Bumpers did win. The upstart did. You got 1990 with Bill Clinton almost on too long. The threat was real and it was there. So
right.
Is this just another chapter of that
well,
same
that's
book?
what happens in you see a guy like we see an establishment Republican who was like number 2 to I can't call his name in Virginia. He was number 2 to
Eric Cantor.
That's it.
Yeah.
To Boehner. Just all of a sudden gets beat from the right, because though he's Washington's idea of a hardened right-wing partisan, back home he was vulnerable just because he was Washington, just because he was known. So Beckett will be playing this, and he's already doing it. What they're doing in Washington is ridiculous. They're not answering to us, which implicitly says Bozeman isn't either. Bozeman has done nearly everything, or as you say, short of fomenting a revolution against the country. He's done everything that Donald Trump would have him do. You reminded me, Trump has endorsed him.
Yes.
Right.
That's
So,
right.
and Sarah Sanders
It worked for him for years.
she was his campaign manager in his first run when he beat all those
and has
people.
stayed on as a consultant over the years.
Still has.
And she's endorsed it.
And in fact, I went to a debate of the candidates that year. Bozeman didn't show up. Sarah Sanders showed up and wiped out the whole field. And I wrote a column, and I can show you, saying this woman is a force. She's better being there than John Bozeman for the purposes of that evening. So I'm sure she's still for him. If she's not, she can come on this show and explain. Oh, can't she? I don't mean to invite her. It's your right to invite her, and I don't think you have.
Open invitation.
Yeah, it's an open.
Oh, I've invited her to be on the show.
But I think in the no, she'll be on Fox long before she'll be on here. Anyway, it's a fascinating development, and this Razorback star who sacked Tim Tebow is just got everything wrapped up. A lot of the modern dynamics are in play here. I would say I'm going to enjoy watching it, but I think I'll be more distressed than pleased by what I see. But as a student of the current culture in the state, this will answer a lot of questions.
And as a newspaper columnist needing campaign column fodder,
I don't need it this bad.
You're going to get a lot of it.
I don't need it this bad. But yeah, I'm going to be, as a preacher told me once, you do your best preaching, and then you do your best columnizing when you're, as he put it, preaching from the overflow, when you got more than you can get into the paper. So I may be preaching from the overflow here in the next few months.
He's John Brummett with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always good to catch up with you. Thanks.
Good to be here.
All right. Thank you for watching. That's all for today's program. We'll see you next time.